Now, I mentioned there's kind of some context to the whole transfer thing. You do have one of the few transfers that Tennessee got is Gerald Mincey, an offensive lineman. And supposedly, this was not confirmed in any official capacity, but has been reported by multiple people who have pretty good knowledge, I would say, of what's going on behind the scenes there. That Tennessee is self-imposing scholarship reductions to appease the NCAA because of all the Jeremy Pruitt stuff. And the main victim of that has been kind of this transfer portal, because basically, according to these unconfirmed reports, Tennessee essentially has to send somebody out to bring somebody in. You're not really gaining a whole lot in what's going on, and that's really unfortunate because the whole thing is depth. I mean, Tennessee they got to the third quarter in almost every game last season against superior opponents. They would get to that third quarter, the second half of the third quarter, and you just watched the fuel tank go down to zero. And it was tough to watch. And I don't think it's not something you're going to solve overnight. And you got to get past these, presuming that report is true, that you're limiting scholarships. You got to get past that. Then you got to get guys in the door. And then we can talk about having kind of adequate depth. And that's going to be the case, not just offensive line, but across the board, unfortunately.
And the offensive line, typically a position that once you get a program to where you want it to be, meaning elite status, that unless the guy's a generational player, some superstar, 5-star that you can just plug and play, especially on the offensive line, typically want those guys just to develop their bodies, work on getting reps, and just not even needing them for at least a year. But if somebody, I guess, is going to be pressed into duty, the highest rated guy coming in is guard center Addison Nichols, 6th rated guard center in the country, coming in this 22 class out of Georgia.
Yeah, he was either the 2nd or 3rd highest rated guy in that whole class, actually. So hopefully, as I said, you don't really have anybody that's of the caliber of like Trey Smith, where he came in and like the second he showed up, it was presumed he was basically going to be a starter. And, he's a unanimous 5-star. But yeah, I think out of necessity, you're going to end up having to play those guys. It just is what it is. And Heupel's offense, obviously, with how many plays you end up running, I mean, you're talking 70 to, they got close to 100 in some games. Yeah, you're going to have to lean on whatever depth you have. And at least you do have some guys coming in, and it's going to be a trial by fire there. It's a blessing and a curse, because obviously with recruits right now, you can basically say, come on in, and you're definitely getting playing time immediately. You're going to be playing in the SEC on the biggest stage in college football. And we have that available for you here. But at the same time, you're a freshman and you're going to get playing time, and that's the position that Tennessee is in, that they have to play these guys. So it's a blessing and a curse, but it's an interesting situation that Heupel really tries to mitigate with scheme. As we've been touching on, with this fast offense that keeps the defense on its heels, he tries to overcome lack of talent with this scheme. And last season, it worked beautifully. Honestly, compared to even what my expectations were, I thought, okay, the offense will definitely get better. I think that's just going to come with the territory. But I did not think it would get as good as it ended up being, where it was 35 plus a game and tons of touchdowns. What was it for Hooker? 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Hendon Hooker. Of course, that is in some sense contingent on how well he played. But it was impressive. And I think on the whole, yeah, you do lose an important piece in Mays, but I don't see anything taking a big drop off, although I don't necessarily see points, especially on this offensive line, where I go, that's a big upgrade. We're definitely doing a whole lot better. I don't know that I see that here.